Now, there is no way to lose the fear of death or the dread of death except one. That one is to accept Paul's statement: neither life nor death can separate me from the love of God. Once you have accepted that, you no longer have any fear of death or dread of death, because you are just as secure in God's love, in death as in life. Therefore, the dread of it, the fear of it disappears. We do not deny the fact that eventually there is a transition from the human plane, and regardless of how much the world may dread the experience or fear it, they all acknowledge that someday the change will come. Why not begin to understand it instead of fearing it and hating it? And understand it as merely a change of locale. Understand it merely as a transition from one state of life or form of life to another, but always under the government of God. Neither life nor death can separate me from the government of God, the love of God, the care of God, the life of God. Once we have that, death has no sting. And when the sting is gone out of death, death itself becomes impossible. There is no way to prevent death but one: lose the fear of it, the dread of it, and understand that in what the world calls life or death, there is always conscious oneness with God, with love and with life. In our work, we state that my conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Well, if you really accept that, you can't accept that a time will come when that relationship with God will change. Therefore, the experience of life or the experience of death, the experience before our birth or the experience after our death, we still are consciously one with our source. This too is prayer. This too is contemplation, because it is just as legitimate to contemplate death as to contemplate life, because in the eyes of God, life and death is one. Light and dark is one. Here and there is one. Youth and old age is one. In the eyes of God, we are all one in our spiritual identity. But remember, it is only the life of contemplation that enables you and me to meet this God within our own consciousness and to live this spiritual life in our own consciousness and show forth the fruitage in happier relationships, in greater abundance of tangible supply, in a greater degree of health. In other words, the within becomes the without. The degree of our conscious oneness with God within becomes the degree of manifested harmony in the without.